So Callan, how did you get into photography?
I once saw this photo by Cartier-Bresson, the man jumping over the puddle, and that's what got me started, because it was pretty amazing that you could do something like that without actually drawing, because I suck at drawing. So photographs is probably the simplest way for me to try to do this kind of stuff.
You've self-published a lot of magazines, Nishi, over the years. What was your inspiration behind those?
One of the inspirations is probably John Seipel. And then the other, of course, is you, Eric, because the thing is, I think the idea about showing work and getting the feedback is something that a lot of people don't do these days. And by putting the work out there, you're putting yourself at risk in a way. It's the skin in the game, right?
Skin in the game.
So you put yourself in a position where you can be criticized just so that you can improve. And there's only good things that can come out from it.
And you know, it looks like Japanese photography has had a huge influence on you. Can you tell us a little more about that? What about Japanese photography, and what do you admire about?
Something about the freewheeling nature of it. They don't really have a particular aesthetical taste to it. There are a lot of snapshots that in a way defines Japanese photography. And I think I love that freewheeling nature of it. You just go out there, you see what you could find, whatever comes to you. And the beauty of it is, the magical can be found in every day, in almost every circumstance, in any corner of the world. So we just have to keep our minds open, keep our eyes open, and that's what Japanese photography has taught me more than Western photography. It's not that Western photography isn't great, it's very formalized, it's a great start. And after a while, I just feel that it's a little bit too formal for me. I like my things a little bit more free-flowing, and I think the Japanese have that down to an art form.
So speaking about free-flowing, so we're in Singapore, and Singapore is often criticized as being a place that's very not free-flowing. So how do you reconcile with that as a photographer?
I think the more restrictive Singapore is, I think there's more of us trying to break out of that mold. It's very difficult to put descent into the right words, because we're in a transitionary stage. A lot of people we are caught in between two generations, right? The newer people like us, we're a little bit more liberal, we believe more in the human rights stuff that my parents don't believe in. And it's difficult for an Asian culture to rebel against authority. It's almost frowned upon. Even here, we're rather conservative. So this is one of the ways we can express ourselves without hurting people, without being too vocal about it. We just let the pictures show you what we're trying to say. And I think that is a rather safe space for now, for a lot of us to show what it's like. And also there's this documentary aspect of it, because we do want to know, as a young country, how far we've come, how far we have to go. And I think photography allows us to show both sides.
And how would you describe the photography scene here in Singapore?
It's very community-based, because we have a lot of, it's a small country, almost everyone knows everyone. We have a lot of regular events. It's easy to meet up because we don't have to drive for miles, right? It's very easy to get around, and we have a lot of constant events, like things done by IPA, things like associations like Platform. They're not really an association, but they do a lot to uncover photographers, to throw some light onto the developing arts, because I think there's still a long way to go before photography is recognized as an art form by traditional institutions.
Definitely.
And I think IPA, people like Kevin, people like Asian, they're doing quite a lot of work in pushing for that. And I think slowly we're getting there. It's not helped by the fact that everybody posts photos of their lunch on Instagram, but we're slowly getting there. I think it's part of the democratization of photography. Singapore is one of the nations with the highest mobile penetration rates. Everyone has one mobile phone, at least. Two. I have like 3. Of course, I only use 1. But that has helped a lot, because people are starting to take photographs, and they want to know what makes a good photo against what makes a not so good photo. So as that goes on, I think more people get more serious, as well as experiment a little bit more. I think that will stand us in good stead.
I mean, you've been doing a lot of experiments with Nishi and shooting, and so why don't you show us what you're shooting with right now?
I have a M2. I got this like 4 years ago. It's a sturdy camera. I intend to hand this down to my son next time, if he ever bothers to pick up a camera. With a 50mm lens and Tri-X. While it's still around, I think I will shoot more Tri-X. When it dies, I will just move to digital.
And wait, let me do a close-up on this frame. So show us how it works.
This is a really old camera. This is the film advance, and this is the shutter. So every time you press the shutter, you have to advance the film. This is the film counter.
Yep.
For every frame, obviously I have the frames in a very wrong position.
Yes.
Right, like frame 38. I've just loaded in quite a new roll, so I didn't bother with that. Shutter dial is over here, so you can adjust the shutter speed.
Wait 1 second. Okay, so shutter dials.
Yep, the shutter dials. You can adjust it in one-step increments. A good thing about Leica is because of the cloth shutter, you can probably hand hold it at 1/15th or 1/8th if you have really steady hands. This is the aperture ring.
Yep.
So everything is manual, obviously. I have a battery-operated light meter here for tricky situations.
Ooh, so how does that work?
So you just probably point it at the scene or point it at the back of your hands or the front of your hands or your palms and adjust the shutter speed like so. And then it will point you in the right direction to turn the dials to obtain the right reading. So in this case, it's 1/60th at f2.8 with an ISO of 800. So I normally shoot at ISO 800 and develop it at 1600.
Why do you do that?
Mainly because in Singapore the light can be really fickle.
Yes.
And I like to shoot indoors as well. And because of this camera, it doesn't have a hot shoe. I really need the film speed to work even in indoors. And when you go outdoors, obviously under sunny skies, you can shoot at 1/1000th. It's easy enough to still get the deep depth of field. Because I don't really enjoy street photography or most of the photography in. We've actually enjoyed bokeh, so I.
What did bokeh ever do to you?
Nothing except for the fact that the internet seems to be crazy about it, and everybody shoots shiny, colored balls of bokeh, which that's nothing for photography really. I do shoot thin depth of field stuff mainly for portraits.
Yes.
But that has a use for it because it's portraiture. For other stuff, I think having deep depth of field also lets me do the hyperfocal distance, so I don't have to manually focus quickly on the streets.
So just be shooting at f8 and pre-focusing to like a meter and a half
3
or something.
meters, 1.5 meters, stuff like that. Normally closer, like 1.5 meters is probably the distance I work at for most of my photos.
And what do you like about shooting film or black and white?
I can't really explain it. The thing about black and white is I find color very distracting, and to be honest, I think my color theory is kind of lousy. I suck at it.
Are you like slightly colorblind?
No, I'm not. I just somehow I don't feel for color. I'm trying to do a lot of color stuff now because I have a digital camera. I use an OMD. So that is for another series. It's slowly developing. I feel that I'm slowly getting to grips with it, but I'm still really comfortable in black and white. I can straight away see what the tones are like, so I'm not too fussed or worried about it. And also because Kodak is dying.
You gotta support.
Yeah, and no, Tri-X is a beautiful film. I think Tri-X is. I'm an atheist, and I think Tri-X is the proof that God exists. So if
Can I quote you on that?
Yeah, you can.
You should make that like your email signature.
I should actually. I have to think about it. That's really good. I should stole it off Kirk Tuck.
You should make a T-shirt out of that.
That would sell, I think.
Yeah, that would sell.
T-shirts.
Oh, I'll put it on my blog.
Yeah. So I think while we still can shoot film, we'll just shoot more of it.
Well, why don't you just shoot your digital camera and post-process in Silver FX Pro or like why not just do something like that?
I do that sometimes. It just doesn't feel the same. I can get it really, really close.
Yes.
I mean, I've done this for a few years, so I can get it really, really close. Most people will not be able to tell. I still have that naggy feeling that it's not quite there yet. I think with digital photography, what we have progressed in leaps and bounds with is color accuracy. And digital is really made for color because with film, and a lot of people like that, they're color casts, there are different renditions of color, people like that. I like it, but it is not truly what we see. So the digital sensor allows us to see color as what they are, which is what my photography is about. I see it as it is, not what I want it to be. And with that, I'm able to do more color work. With film, with color film, it is all about matter of interpretation. And I like it in a way, but it doesn't give me the convenience of tuning different stuff. So with digital and color, I can do a lot more on the computer. I'm not ashamed of saying I use Lightroom and Photoshop to to get what I want.
Uh-huh.
But with film, it is something about making things with your own hands, because I developed my own black and white film. So the feeling of getting your hands involved and stuff.
So it feels like much more tactile. Like...
Yes. It is still somewhat magical after doing all that weird chemical stuff. You pull out a reel of film and you can see the images that you shot months ago.
Yeah.
It still has a little bit of magic to it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I lived in this particular time. We're transitioning into fully digital because film is slowly dying off.
Yes.
I appreciate the fact that we are enjoying the best of both worlds even now. And it should not be a mutually exclusive thing. We can shoot both together. And I think digital has a lot of things that film can't offer. At the same time, film will offer you something that digital can't. It's the tactile feel. You can't replace that.
So let's say I'm a photographer who's never shot film before, and I'm kind of curious, but it all seems too intimidating. It's like, oh, I had to develop myself. I don't know if the photos are going to turn out okay. What are some tips you would offer somebody who's interested in black and white photography, film photography, just to start off?
Just do it. Photography is one of those things that you really have to do to experience. If we think about too many things, just like most other stuff in life, you probably won't get started. So it's a case of like just get a film camera. They're cheap nowadays. I mean, I bought,
any recommendations for a good starter film camera that's not too expensive?
The Leica M2. I bought this for 600 USD.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Is really affordable these days.
Yeah, right? That's really good.
And if you want something that is even cheaper, you can always get a Canon or a Nikon. The old ones would cost you about 200 maybe.
Yeah.
Stick a 50mm on it. The f1.8s where the Canons and the Nikons comes out. They come out with really economical versions of it.
Yeah.
So you can probably slap on another $50. So for $250, you get a very basic setup.
And just full frame.
Whoa. Full frame, yeah. And it gives you a different feeling. The idea of waiting, not being able to see what you've gotten.
Yeah.
That anticipation is a cliche.
Yep.
But it helps. And after a while, you forget what you've shot. Which makes the editing process easier, because then you don't really have an attachment to what you've shot. You don't really remember what you've shot or the situation that you've shot it under. And I think that helps in developing a patience as well as a discipline, which we can achieve with digital. I'm not disagreeing with that. I know that some of my friends would say that the discipline is there regardless of whether you use a digital or a film camera. Hi, Alfie. The thing is, I think because a lot of us come from shooting film into digital, I think that discipline is ingrained in us. With digital shooters these days, there is very little constraint. And a lack of limitations is the enemy of art. I can't remember who said that, but I think it's a beautiful quote. And
that's actually good.
It gives us a limitation to work with. And when you have that limitation, it forces you to do certain things. And I think that helps. So
if I own every single camera and every single system and every single lens, it's not going to help me be more creative?
Sadly, no. I mean, I have to tell you yes, but no. I think a lot of us have gone through the stages where we have multiple cameras with multiple lenses, and we end up being paralyzed by the choices we have.
Too many choices.
Too many choices. It's the tyranny of choice. I think
tyranny of choice.
We've discussed that before, obviously, and it is very true. Because if you only have, like Ronald McDonald, if you only have one clown suit, you don't have to worry about what clown suit to put on. It's the same, right? So if you have one camera, and that is something that I think there's a blogger called Mike Johnston. He said that the Leica is the best teacher. Well, it doesn't have to be a Leica; it just have to be a film camera. You use one camera with one lens, preferably with one film, for an entire year. And if you do that in black and white, you soon realize that your photography kind of improves, because there's a limitation. You can do the same thing with a film camera. You can stick in an old 128 megabyte SD card. You can buy loads of that for a few bucks. Right? You stick them into your camera, you use it, and you leave it aside for months, because you won't be using that when you're going out to shoot or stuff like that. And then you revisit them maybe 4-6 months down the road, and you see what you've gotten. It's the same thing. Whether you have the discipline to do that is another story. So film kind of forces you to do it. I mean, like you were just telling me previously that you have 150 unprocessed photos, right? And that kind of helps you distance yourself. That gives you the limitations.
Yeah.
In the end, you can be more stringent with yourself. And we suffer from being our own harshest critics.
Yep.
And then on the other spectrum, we love every single thing we faked. Every single photo that we have taken.
So speaking of criticism, like, how do you deal with criticism? Like, do you welcome it? Do you ultimately shoot for yourself? Like,
I shoot for myself, yes, but I also welcome criticism because I think
your photos suck, Callan.
yeah, they sometimes.
Just kidding, just kidding.
No, but the thing is, I think if we insulate ourselves from criticism, we won't grow. Not just as photographers, as people. You know, sometimes when the message gets repeated enough and you refuse to acknowledge it, then you don't grow as a person.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't grow as a person, you won't grow as a photographer. That becomes a limitation that we do not want. So I welcome criticism. Whether I will accept it or not is a different case. But there's always a message, right?
Yeah.
It's not about how the message is delivered, because you should never take criticism personally. If someone tells you that this photo doesn't appeal to them, it doesn't mean your personality doesn't appeal to them.
That's good.
It's
that's
not
wise.
about you, it's about your work, and they are separate.
So if I make bad photos, it doesn't mean I'm a bad human being.
That's right. It is almost never the case. I mean, your photos are your photos.
But they're like my babies, though.
They are, and you should treat them like your
Wait, I got to
babies.
treat your photos like your babies.
Yeah, you should treat your photos like your babies.
Why aren't you supposed to kill your babies?
The thing is not killing them. Alright, if you want to stretch that analogy, I'll say treat them like this is men only.
Yes.
Semen. You produce enough of it every day. You never really run out of it as a man. You might get low on it, but there's testosterone replacement.
Yeah, there's always Viagra.
Yeah, there's always Viagra. And yeah, you never really run out of it.
So you're telling street photographers to take more Viagra?
I'm telling them to masturbate. No, but I mean, the idea is this: you never run out of it.
Yeah.
Because you're making something, and photography, the beauty of it is you don't spend hours doing one gigantic painting.
Yep.
Or hours practicing one dance routine. We do that, and every single moment is different. Every snap of the shutter is unique. And if you take it as that, then you have to know that in life there are boring moments, there are exciting moments, but they are all part of life. And you take the good with the bad. You can't always have a charmed life every single time.
Yeah.
You can't dash across a busy junction and expect not to be run down sooner or later. So you take the good with the bad, and if you're more stringent about it, you eventually will arrive at a large body of work. Whether people appreciate it or not, it's no guarantee.
Yeah. And how about creative slumps?
Just work through it. I think everyone will have creative slumps. Everyone. So there are some people who compensate by buying a camera. It works. I'm not saying it doesn't. I have friends who do that. It works wonders. So if you're
you actually do recommend buying a new camera if you're in a creative slump?
If it works for you. If it works for you. But I think Araki said that if you change your camera, it changes the way you shoot. So there are some times that you take you take a while to arrive at the format you really like. Like Dave here, for example, is now shooting a lot of medium format.
Yeah.
And it's changed his work. It's a lot more fresher now.
So I'll put it to Dave. So how's shooting medium format changed the way you shot?
I mean, it helps me to focus. I don't take shots frequently.
Yeah.
It helps me to, I guess it helps me to get back to my feelings about that scene. And if it's that feeling really, I mean that scene really speaks to me, then I'll take the photo because of the tail shots inside. And each shot is quite expensive.
Yeah.
So I have to like look through what is inside of me and see whether it really fits. But sometimes you just get that bug back, like shooting many shots at once.
But don't you get frustrated that you can't see your photos instantly?
In the beginning it does, but then after that, the joy comes when after that you pick up the roll from the shop and you go home and scan it and you find out, hey, some photos are actually good, and maybe perhaps those photos that are not good, that you think that it's not good, and after a few days or a few weeks you go back there, you look at it, hey, this could be part of something.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of a short 5 photos. Yeah.
You've been uploading a lot of photos to Tumblr recently.
Yeah, I did.
What about Tumblr do you like?
Tumblr, I mean, it's very easy to upload photos there,
Uh-huh.
and I can put it to private if I want to, like, just leave it there and just to see whether the photo is good. If it's not good, I'll just delete it. If it's good, I'll just probably post it. In public.
How do you know if photo's good or not?
Well, it's quite an intuitive thing. So I don't. What is good to me may not be good to you. So it depends on how I feel about that set of photos. So how I usually post in Tumblr is that I will usually try to post in a set of 5 photos and see whether they actually fit together. If they fit together, then okay, I'll leave it for a few days. If it's okay, I'll post it in public. And usually, I mean, I feel good about the photos, the set of photos. Actually, it speaks to me.
And you're shooting color film too.
Yeah, shooting color film.
What films are your favorites?
Shooting Pro 400H and overexpose it, one stop. ISO 200. Gives me that very pastel feeling, pastel colors. And I like it. Very light feeling, not too contrasty, not in your face. I think it's probably because of age.
Because of what?
Because of my age, I don't like to have things like too confrontational. Yeah, I tend to lay back a bit. Yeah.
Do you get frustrated sometimes people say, "Oh, your photos look like this person's photos"?
I guess
Pretty cool.
it does. It does. I mean, no, not actually, but actually, I'm neutral to it. I have no reaction to that, to those criticisms or those comments. I mean, I like the colors. I like the kind of colors that I made from my photos, like overexpose it and light, not so light, not too contrasty kind of feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, it speaks to me, so I like it. Mainly because I take photos for myself.
And that's the most important thing, taking photos of
that's
yourself.
the most important thing.
All right, last question. C Money, Mr. Awesome. So who are some local photographers you recommend people follow based in Singapore?
Based in Singapore, besides me, Dave has produced quite a lot of good ones.
Yeah, good job, Dave.
The other guys in my collective, Donna Chiu.
What is your collective?
5 Foot Way. So the guys in 5 Foot Way, I believe we're doing quite a lot of good work as well. I think Donna is doing a lot of good work. Donna Chiu. Adam Rhyme is also developing his own style. Our former members are also doing well. Dave is a former member. There's this guy called ABC who takes photos of his iPhone. He's probably sick of me calling him a celebrity, but he is one. And that just shows you that you don't really need an expensive camera. There's also the more established ones are people like Kevin Lee, also known as Ox, the founder of IPA. He's slowly still publishing his book of his father's journey back to his hometown. I saw the proofs. They look fantastic. And then there are people who are like Brian Vanderbeek is probably another one. He was a photojournalist. Now he runs his own setup. Being very busy with his commercial work. He has an eye for it. And if you check out his Facebook stuff, a lot of his stuff about his family and his daughter, there's a personal touch to it. I think these are the people who are not being given nearly enough attention next to the more established ones. So just look out for them.
Cool. And any last things you would like to mention? If you started photography all over again, what is the advice you wish someone gave you?
Stop shopping.
Stop what?
Stop shopping.
Like photoshopping or buying cameras?
Buying cameras. Which is contradictory to what I just said. No, I mean, just focus on what you have. Shoot it. Just keep shooting. You get somewhere. It's really about the 10,000 hours of practice, even though Malcolm Gladwell just kind of retracted that. It is about practice. Just keep going and don't stop.
Right on, dude. All right, peace out, guys.
Hey.